All right, good morning, everyone. It's Coach Griffith here again, just coming to you with your daily work. Yesterday, we discussed the different depths of knowledge and how they apply to the writing process. We talked about DOK Level 1, which is just simply recall of information. DOK Level 2, again, and this all is found on page 1112 of your study packet, just to give you a little bit of help. The DOK Level 2 asks you to apply what you've read and kind of draw conclusions. Level 3 is what you had to actually work on yourself and ask you to complete your writing prompt. Again, the thing with DOK Level 3 is you had to actually use information from the text to support what it was that you were trying to explain or get across to your reader. So I hope that you went in and did that. That was your practice for yesterday. Now today is going to get a little bit deeper. If you go ahead and you turn over to page number 15 in the study packet, I told you yesterday that we were going to wait to start with DOK Level 4 because, again, it can have a little bit more to do. So let's, again, look on page number 15. Let's start reviewing what we see here. If you look at the top, it talks about extending writing response DOK Level 4. This is a DOK Level 4 item because it asks students to go beyond explaining to analyzing and synthesizing information from different sources. Students must combine ideas from the two readings and write new concepts based on their understanding. Now, let's go back and let's break that down and, just try to put it in our own words as to what it means. Go beyond explaining to analyzing. Don't just explain what took place. Analyze why. How did it take place? Why was it taking place? What events led to it? It talks about synthesizing. If you think back to the beginning of the year when we did our 7 habits of effective readers, synthesizing was one of those 7 habits. You may or may not recall, the notes are there in the files on Teams if you need to go back and refresh your memory. But when you had that moment of synthesis, that was the aha moment. Use the example, we've all been reading a book or watching a movie where things were not necessarily making sense. And then all of a sudden something happened and you're like, oh, okay, now I understand why it's like that. You need to do the same thing with your writings. So again, yeah, you want to explain, but you want to analyze and help your reader to understand why certain things took place. Bring that viewpoint that you have to your reader. So you're going to have to combine ideas from multiple readings with new concepts based on their level of understanding. If you continue on, excuse me, you have the genre that you're going to be reading, which is informational. I'm just going to be real with you. Informational text can at times be a little boring. All right. It can be more so like your history classes, or you think about some of those. If you've taken like technology classes, they're going to ask you to read things of that sort. So, you're not going to always get things like you had yesterday with Rip Van Winkle, those fictional pieces. You see, they give you the standards here. The key one being the first one, write informative explanatory text to examine and convey complex ideas, concepts, and information clearly and accurately through the effective selection, organization, and analysis of content. Please, 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 that last part, organization. Organization. We've all been there before where you get these packets when you take the EOCs or the milestone back. It used to be the CRC team. You had to take the writing test. Whatever test that you've grown up taking, they always give you a scratch sheet of paper. Now, just think to yourself for a second, how many of y'all have actually taken those tests and did not use those scratch sheet of paper at all? I know a bunch of you have. I'm guilty myself, because I was taking those tests growing up too. I would just say, you know what, whatever. I'm just going to write my essay, turn in that blank sheet. Please use it. You'd be surprised again. I've tried to get this across to you as far as brainstorming, getting your ideas down on paper. The human brain works in mysterious ways. We can forget so many things. So please get your ideas down on paper. Do some type of graphic organizer. You need to take advantage of that. Now, you're going to be timed when you take the the EOC. So you don't need to waste a bunch of time, but you do need to get your basic ideas down and, try to branch off and have some certain ideas. You want to create an outline or whatever direction it is you want to go, whatever graphic organizer, I don't care as long as you do something. Now, let's look at what you're going to be assessing in this package. It says it's going to assess your skill to comprehend reading packages and use information from the passage to write an explanatory essay. And again, explanatory is just like it sounds. You need to explain. You need to inform your reader of something. Before you begin writing your essay, you will read 2 passages. As you read the passages, think about the details you may use in an explanatory essay about diplomats and their role in the U.S. Department of State. So those are the 2 things you're going to need to be keeping on focus on while you're reading. And you see they break it down even more. These are the titles of the passages you will read. Who is a diplomat and what is the mission of the U.S. Department of State? Okay. Turn over to the next page. There you have 2 sections. or two pieces to read, page 16 and page 17. Those are the two informational texts that you will be reading today. All right, we'll come back to those. Turn over to the next page, page number 18, and you see exactly what it is that's just going to be required of you. Remember, we discussed this yesterday. Always kind of look ahead, read over the questions. If it's multiple choice, if it's a writing prompt, look at what exactly is being asked of you, so you know what you need to be identifying as you read the text. You don't want to sit in there and read the whole text and then look at the assignment and have to go all the way back and reread, because now you've just wasted a bunch of time. And, you know, when it comes to those tests, time is everything. All right, so you see your writing test up there in the box. It says diplomats are responsible for many aspects of a successful country. Think about the ideas in both passages. Then write an explanatory essay in your own words explaining how diplomats carry forth the mission of the U.S. Department of State. Be sure to use information from both passages in your explanatory essay. Again, it asks, if you go back to that middle stanza, it says, explain how diplomats carry forth the mission of the U.S. Department of State. So if you look at those articles that you're going to be read, the first one is, who is a diplomat? The second one, what is the mission of the U.S. Department of State? All right. So you're going to need to read both of those, figure out what it is a diplomat is, what it is they do. Then you're going to need to look over there at the mission and bring those two together. Are diplomats carrying out the mission of the U.S. Department of State? What is that mission? What does diplomat job entail? These are things you're going to need to be explaining, analyzing while you write this explanatory essay. You're going to need to go back to yesterday. DOK level 3 required that you cite evidence from the text. You need to do that today as well. Cite evidence to support what it is that you're trying to explain to us. Not only do you need to cite it, but you need to bring it together from both. Tell me, okay, show me how you're using this passage or this text from this one and this one from that one to come together and get one similar idea. Okay, you don't need to be bouncing all over. All right, you need to. This is kind of like a compare and contrast to an extent, but you're more so comparing. You're taking the things that are similar from each. You're taking what a diplomat does. You're looking at the mission, which I'll go ahead and tell you. If you look on page 17, it's the very last stanza on page 17. The mission. Look at the mission. Matter of fact, it says the department's mission statement appeared in its financial report for fiscal year 2010. Advance freedom for the benefit of the American people and the international community by helping to build and sustain a more democratic, secure, and prosperous world composed of well-governed states that respond to the needs of their people, reduce widespread poverty, and act responsibly within the international system. That is the department's mission. Now you would need to go over and this is what I would do. And you can see my paper right here where I've marked up. Can you see that? Where I've marked things up as I read. These are the key ideas. What is it that a diplomat does? This is your packet. Write on it. Do as you please. Whatever it is you see in here that can help you, underline it, highlight it, put a star, whatever you need to do so that you can get back to it later when it comes time for you to begin writing. So again, go in, read what a diplomat does, go back to that mission statement that I just read with you, and then you need to go and do exactly what the writing task asks you to do, which is explain how diplomats carry forth the mission of the U.S. Department of State. How do the diplomats, based on what the facts are, not what we think, because they're going to talk about both. They're going to talk about stereotypes of diplomats versus what they really do. You need to bring both of those together. What does a diplomat do to carry out the mission of the U.S. Department of State? That's your mission. That's your assignment. Now look at the writer's checklist. And these are things that you're very familiar with because anytime we do writing, I ask you to do these things. It says, be sure to introduce the topic clearly. Don't just jump straight into talking about whatever it is. You need to introduce it. You think about some type of hook. Now, does it need to be something elaborate? No. But it does need to be something that's going to get the reader's attention. So introduce the topic. Okay, think about a thesis statement. Lay out what you're going to be talking about. They pretty much give you that in the passage, in the writing prompt. Again, explain how diplomats carry forth the mission of the U.S. Department of State. Use that type of stuff to your advantage. The next bullet says use information from the two passages so that your essay includes important details, citing evidence. So you would need to go in and pull out certain quotes that you want to use to support. So if you said that a diplomat does this, that, and the third, then you need to go and find text that supports that. The job of a diplomat, according to the article, is blah, 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 with the quotation marks around it. Okay? That is what you need to be doing, citing the evidence, showing the people that will be grading these tests that not only can you read, but you can go in and pull that information out. The next one says develop the topic with facts, definitions, details, quotations, or other information examples related to the topic. That's what we just talked about. Use the information from the text. Cite it. Okay. Now, let's not make a whole sentence a quote. You need to be blending your text. You need to introduce the information. Y'all got me? Next one. Identify the passages by title or number when using details. You can say Article 1 or Article 2, or you can say according to the article, who is a diplomat, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but you need to be specific when you quote these or cite these sources. The next one talks about use your own words except when quoting directly. Duh. Because if you don't use your own words, or if you if you use somebody else's work without giving credit, you all know that word. What is it? What's that P word? Plagiarism. Okay. Now, the next bullet, use appropriate and varied transition. Let it flow. Let it flow. Use those transition words that we've used, that we've discussed when it comes to writing to help your essay flow. Use clear language and vocabulary. All right, let's talk about this. You all are in the 9th grade. Okay. It is perfectly fine to just write it the first time, but then you will need to go back. There are going to be some words that are not grade level appropriate. All right. Try to find those words that you know a bigger version, or, just again, a more grade level appropriate. This is why I've been on you all year when it comes to the book talks and the Lexile scores. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was a little lenient with the Lexile scores because once we started doing the book talks, the library wasn't really all the way where it needed to be because of moving all the books from the from the 9th grade academy. So yes, I did allow for you to read books that were not necessarily on your Lexile score, but now you're going to see why that's important. Okay, there's just a certain way that you should be writing. There's a certain type of words you should be using, even at the beginning of the school year. And I hate that we couldn't do more of this, but like I've said with you throughout the year, the little 50-minute class periods, it just does not allow for us to do a whole lot every single day. But for about the first month or so of school, you were having vocabulary quizzes. Well, I would give you 20 words, and then every 2 weeks you would go in and have a quiz. You remember that. If you kept your notebook organized like you're supposed to, then you're going to still have those 20 words. Matter of fact, those, probably at least about 60, because I'm pretty sure we did 3 of those quizzes. You're going to have about 60 vocabulary words that you can use. Go in and look over those words. Try to plug in some of those words into your text, okay? I'm not just giving those to you just to say, hey, I want you to use or to know these for a test. No, you need to be trying to incorporate them into your reading. Your writing. So please do that. I would look over those words before I start writing today. It says establish and maintain a formal style. Formal. Remember, this is formal writing. You cannot write the way that you speak and you text your friends. That's simple. All right. And this is me. I know I don't speak proper English every single day all the time, but when it comes down to writing an essay or presenting myself somewhere, maybe like a job interview or something like that, you have to speak formally. Use proper English, okay? No slang, none of that. Do not assume that your reader understands what it is that you're talking about. Use the language that everybody understands, okay? Provide a conclusion. Don't just end your essay, okay? You need to wrap it up. Think about when we do essays in the class, you have that introduction, you have your body paragraphs, you have your conclusion. Well, in the conclusion, I would always say to restate your thesis. Not to say it the exact same way that you did in the introduction, but you need to find a way to, again, restate those ideas that you have explained and analyzed using evidence from the text throughout that essay. Wrap it up, okay? They gave you a good example. If you turn back to page 14 yesterday, the first sentence, the introduction sentence says, the author introduces the theme of how things change by describing them out. We know that author or whoever this is that's about to write, they are talking about theme and how it changes. We know that. And if you look at the very last sentence, it says, by the beginning of the story, with these descriptions, the author is developing change as a central theme. You see how they did that? One simple sentence at the beginning, introducing the topic. Another sentence there at the end that brings it all together again, instead of just stopping. Keep that in mind. Last bullet, it says, check your work for correct usage, grammar, spelling, capitalization, and punctuation. The simple things. You're in the 9th grade. Please, 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 please do not turn in work with spelling errors, grammar mistakes. Go in and try to plug those commas in. Make sure you use capital letters. Make sure you're citing properly with your quotation marks. Do all of these things, okay? Now, the thing about when you take the EOC, yes, it is going to be timed. But because we are practicing here, today at least, I'm not going to ask you to put a timer on, okay? I'm not going to ask you to put a timer on for this first one because I want you to learn how to do it properly before we start trying to, okay, let's get it within this time frame. So if you look down at the box or the directions, it says, now write your explanatory essay on your answer document. Refer to the writer's checklist as you write and proofread your essay. We've gone through all the directions. We've gone over the writer's checklist. I've even hit on some points from the actual text themselves. Now what I am going to ask for you to do is to write. And I want you to write it first here. The box starts on page number 18. It goes to 19. It does end on 20. Does it stop on 19? That's it. So on pages 18 and 19, that's how much information. That's about a page and a half of written text. So I want you to go in right now and I want you to do your rough draft there. Okay? Once you have completed your rough draft, I've opened up a Dropbox on Microsoft Teams that I would like for you to go in and submit this on. So you can type once you write this, open up a Microsoft Word document, type it all up, make it look nice and all that. Use MLA format, use the template that we've been using all year because you need to be accustomed to that as well. Submit it. I am going to give you until tomorrow night. That is Thursday night. I'm going to give you till Thursday at midnight to get this submitted to me. All right. So if you have some friends that maybe, I don't know, doing nothing, chilling at the house, thinking they don't have anything to do, please get word to them that this assignment is going to be due by tomorrow night. Okay. That is your main assignment for today. Get that explanatory essay prompt completed, submit it on Microsoft Teams by Thursday night. Okay. Now, you also received Romeo and Juliet packet yesterday as far as a project. You should have went through, I went over all of the different options that you had. You should have chosen one of those topics yesterday and began writing or at least brainstorming, getting your ideas down on paper. So I want you to continue doing that as well. Okay, don't rush, but you should have chosen your project. If you look on Microsoft Teams, I have the due date set at next Friday. That's what I have it set at right now. Okay, so you need to be kind of working with that in mind just to be okay. Okay, am I where I need to be to have this complete by next Friday? All right, let me know if there's any issues, you have any questions. Feel free to text me on Remind 101. Email me, as many of you have been doing. Again, stay in, stay safe. This is nothing to play with right now. I hope everyone is well. And like I said, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good one.